Right, everybody, welcome back to the Good Old Hockey Podcast. We're back, me and Galli. We took a little bit of like a month break off. Obviously, you guys saw some cool interviews the past 2 episodes. Those were a lot of fun. If you haven't checked it out, go check them out. We did one with Dustin Wolf, the Flames goalie, and also Galli's buddy Justin Jones, who played for Boise State Hockey. Both great episodes. Go watch them if you haven't. But there's a lot of stuff we got to catch you guys up on in the NHL world and also our personal lives. Galli, I think you probably have the coolest personal life update. So why don't you tell everyone? Because I'm curious too. You've talked in a while, so I want to hear about it.
Yeah, so I accepted a new job. I'm going to be the director of game operations for the Bloomington Bison. And this was a position I was doing with the Steelheads, so have a little bit of experience with it. Also was doing it with the Idaho Horsemen, the Arena League football team here.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm stoked. I'm going to be moving out to Illinois in a couple weeks. September 6th is when I'm going to be moving out that weekend. It's 24 hours away from Boise, so it's going to be like a 2-day drive, probably just driving the whole time through cornfields and whatnot. But yeah, man, I'm really excited. I mean, I know you both know, myself and you know that, I love working in sports and that's my passion. And obviously part of being on this podcast is the reason why I'm on here. I love hockey, and it's kind of a dream of mine to work in the industry of hockey. So pretty excited for it. And yeah, man, just got to make the stepping stones up to the next level. And really excited to be in Bloomington, especially. It's a brand new expansion team. So just starting from the ground up, it's going to be a really cool experience.
What's your like day-to-day going to be? Because I feel like I know a little bit about it, but anyone listening doesn't know what game day operations is. Can you tell them like what, I don't know, I guess every day is probably different, but like what's a typical day?
Yeah, dude, every day is kind of different. I mean, a lot of the times it's a lot of content creation. So I'll be working a lot in After Effects and Photoshop, making stuff for the game. Whether that's, sponsorship wise things, mini games, pre-game stuff. And then even stuff that's like, when I was with the Steelheads, it was like, let's go Steelheads. Now it's going to be let's go Bison stuff. Crowd chants, engagement stuff to play during TV timeouts, intermissions. So it's a big chunk of that. And then also I'm going to be making the scripts for all the games. So all these scripts and rundowns. I'm going to be maintaining the scripts with like myself and the production staff there. And then I'll be making kind of rundowns for both the front office staff. I have a group of like 8 interns under me and the mascot, and I'm also making like a rundown for the team itself. So yeah, man, really stoked to be back in hockey. And shout out to Working in Hockey. He is a very, very awesome dude. I actually found out about the position from his Instagram post.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw my hat in the ring, see what happens. And interviews went really well. And yeah, like 3 weeks ago, they offered me, and I was like, I mean, it's kind of tough leaving Boise. I've grown to love this place. It's like a second home to me. It feels like home now. I've been here for many years, and throughout summers, I never really went back to Montana during the summers. So, Boise holds a pretty special place in my heart, and it's pretty brutal leaving here, but I'm excited for Bloomington. It's a college town too. Illinois State is there. So yeah, man, new beginnings. It's a little intimidating, but yeah, man, I'm ready to rock, and we're going to have a really, really kick-ass season. Can't wait to get out there. And yeah, if you're ever in Bloomington or Illinois, hit me up, and you can send me some tickets and we'll go out and whatnot.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, dude, I'm stoked for you because it's gonna be a lot of fun. I know I remember even there's a little behind the scenes stuff, but before we started this podcast, like Galli had, kind of reached out to me and was like, I want to keep working in hockey. And I was like, well, that's perfect, because I want to start a hockey podcast, and I don't really have anyone that is free to do that enough of the time. So it worked out perfect, and here we are. So it'll be awesome, and I'm excited to see all that. And I still got to root for the Steelheads, but if they're ever in town, we'll be all. But yeah, I mean, it's been. I was telling Galli before we recorded, I think it's been a couple months since we've been recording. Obviously, last season we hit the ground running, and we were doing a lot of content and, hope to keep that up and be a fun season this next year too. But as far as, what have I really done this
Yeah.
summer?
What have you been up to? I know and then also just side note, I just got back from a week vacation and East Coast, went to Nashville,
Yeah.
Boston, New York
Oh,
City,
yeah.
which
How
was
was
a
that?
kick-ass time. Very,
Yeah.
very good time.
Yeah.
Stayed with some buddies in Boston. Nashville was a good time. I did crash on a Lime scooter. Didn't sustain any injuries.
Good.
But yeah, that's story for another time. But
Yeah.
yeah, Nashville was a kick-ass time. New York City was cool. Went to a Mets game, went to a Broadway show. Did a lot of stuff on this trip and just went out with my
Yeah.
girlfriend. So it's a good time. Highly recommend doing something like that.
Yeah. No, yeah. I've
But yeah,
done those long. Yeah. I've done those long road trips, like going to different parts of the country in a short period of time. And it was always a lot of fun. But, I mean, yeah, these past couple months, they've been a lot of fun. Um, just with work, even, just grinding on it at work. But, personally, like really haven't done a whole lot. Um, Zach, who is in the end zone, another settle down boy, he was in town this weekend. We had a long weekend this weekend. I went to Tyler Childers on Wednesday last week. So it was pretty much Wednesday to Sunday, just constantly feeling like shit in the morning, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, but I'm excited to, get back to sports too. Like, obviously hockey, we're about a month and a half away, maybe.
yeah.
But college football is coming back this weekend. So I'm really excited for
Oh, yeah.
that. It's definitely been, I feel like we were blessed, like with NHL kind of taking that Stanley Cup playoff took so long that, we pretty much had hockey all the way up until July. And then these past couple months, I don't really know what I have to do with myself because I'm like, well, there's no more hockey, so I don't know what to do. But yeah, it's been a good relaxing, for anyone listening, like me and Galli, we had talked about just, just taking a break for the months that are pretty slow, that are, July and August. Got some interviews done, so that was fun. But I think we're ready to get back to it. And we've got some news also for you guys as well, just with constant NHL stuff. But we're gonna have merch coming out soon. You get a little sneak peek right here. This T-shirt, and there's something on the back that you guys might know the logo of. But we'll tease it a little bit later. It's not completely ready yet, so just keep your eye out. But we do have some news within the NHL world. We've got a lot to cover. We've pretty much 2 months of news that we've got to catch up on. So the first one of the most notable ones, Patrick Laine, the Fortnite lover himself, has been traded to the Montreal Canadiens for a second-round pick. Or Patrick Laine and a second-round pick were traded to the Canadiens for Jordan Harris. Galli, what do you think about this trade? Because, he's kind of been – we've talked about a little bit, I feel like, during the season that there were some rumors that he was going to get moved. Obviously, he had to go into the players' rehab for his excessive gaming. But what do you think about this trade for the Canadiens?
Wow, I think the Canadiens won this trade. The fact that they got a second-round pick on top of Patrick Laine, who has kind of had a rocky past few years. Obviously, we don't have to bring it up. Everyone knows he's had some issues. Has gone into the NHL player program.
Yeah, and the gaming thing was a joke by me, by the way. We don't know the actual situation. Like I wasn't.
He did like Fortnite though. I mean, that's not valid, dude.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think this is a win for the Canadiens. I thought he wasn't going to go to a Canadian market. After he left Winnipeg, I thought that like the Penguins might have been a good fit for him. Maybe even the Red Wings too. Or even like the Hawks. I mean, I feel like there's a lot more teams that were better fits for him, but Canadiens definitely won this trade. I mean, getting that second round pick, and they're not giving up too much. I mean, Jordan Harris is a decent defenseman. He's 24 years old. Last year, I think he had like 14 points, the year before 17 points. So he's got like 3 NHL years under his belt, 2-ish, I'd say. But, so, I mean, I guess the Blue Jackets are getting a little bit back, but the biggest question is like, is this going to make a difference? Because I feel like when Laine went to the Blue Jackets, let alone I feel like a lot of players have been going to the Blue Jackets and just dying out. They've just been performing less. I mean, for example, you've seen Johnny Gaudreau went to the Blue Jackets and his production has skyrocketed down. So maybe it's just the Blue Jackets curse. Maybe Laine goes back and he becomes a 40-goal scorer again. Because, I mean, I feel like a lot of people forget Patrick Laine was a 40-goal scorer per season at a time. And if they could get that back to get him back to that playing level, the Canadiens are going to absolutely blow this trade away. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those. This is one of those trades where it's like, I feel like both sides benefited from it, just in the sense of, things obviously have not worked out with Patrick Laine for the Blue Jackets, so they just need to restart and get something back for him. Canadians are taking a bit of a gamble here, but I think that they can play with this gamble a little bit more because of, they have a very, very good young core of players that, maybe aren't quite ready yet, but they will be. They drafted well this year, I thought. And, obviously Lane Hutson's a star who's going to be coming up for them this next season as a rookie. So I think, honestly, the Canadians did what they should have done. It's a bit of a gamble, but like I said, I think they can afford it.
Dude, and getting a second round pick on top of that.
Yeah,
and
that too.
For the Blue Jackets, I mean, the Blue Jackets might not be too good next year. That's good. That's a pretty big dub. So, yeah, props to St. Louis or shit. I forgot.
No, he's a coach.
Yeah, he's the coach.
Yeah.
I think it's Bergevin. I want to say Mark Bergevin
Yeah.
is the GM. I could totally be wrong about that. But props to the GM for the Canadians. He definitely was. This is a good trade, I think, for them. And I am predicting that he comes back. I don't think he's going to get to the 40-goal mark again, but I can see him definitely north of 30. And that brings up my point. There needs to be a freaking comeback player of the year award in the NHL. I know there's a lot of awards, and there's a lot of awards in the NHL that aren't given out in other sports. But I think this award would be really, really cool because every year there's a player that stands out the most, I think. That had a bad season the year before and then just absolutely blew it out of the water. So NHL, do it. Name it the Mario Lemieux trophy. I mean, obviously people know Mario Lemieux. He freaking came back from cancer after 3 years, and I think he won the MVP that year. So probably one of the best comeback stories of all time. Name it after him. I mean, he's one of the best players of all time. So
exactly.
Why not? That's just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, I think there needs to be something. Obviously we went to the awards, so we were kind of underwhelmed by just the presentation of it. And I feel like I feel like every other sport has some sort of comeback player of the year. I know they have one trophy. I forget what exactly it's called. I want to say who won it. Chris Letang won it last year. But I think that trophy isn't the same as a comeback player of the year. It's more of like overcoming personal struggles in there. I don't know what.
It's not the Lady Dane, is it?
No, it's I forget what it's called. But yeah, I agree. I think there needs to be something that is like comeback player of the year. And if he has a good season, I mean, he definitely deserves it with the personal stuff that he's had.
Perfect opportunity for Lemieux too. I'm telling you, that would be such a good name for the trophy. But who knows? We'll see if the NHL does it. Bettman probably won't do it. So,
but if they call it the Lemieux Trophy, I think we got to claim some royalty off that or something, because that means good old Gary's listening to our pod if he names it the Mario Lemieux Trophy. But another trade on the docket: Jets trade Rucker McGroarty to the Pens for Braden Yeager. Those are 2 young elite prospects. I don't really know what happened with this trade. This was kind of out of the blue. I didn't really hear any rumors. Well, okay, I kind of remember Rucker McGroarty saying something about not wanting to play with the Jets anymore.
Yeah.
But the trade happened pretty fast, is what I meant. But what do you think of that trade?
I think this is a good trade for both teams. I wouldn't say there's a clear winner yet in this, but I mean, Braden, I know a lot of people know Rucker, McGroarty. I want to say he was picked within the top 15 for the Pens in their draft, or pardon me, not the Pens, the Jets.
Jets, yeah.
And he was kind of like, I'd say like their most promising prospect. But with that being said, I think they got a good player with Braden Yeager. I mean, he got 95 points last year in the WHL. I think that he could potentially crack an NHL roster. I mean, shit, put him on a line with Crosby. This guy could definitely do some work. But yeah, I think he's going to be pushing for a spot on the Pens roster, and even McGroarty too. I think these are two on the cusp of NHL ready players that are going to be very, very good in their NHL careers. I think it works out for both teams too. I know the Jets had some issues with McGroarty. Nothing really happened with Yeager. It's kind of interesting because Yeager signed for the Pens this offseason before he got traded. So that's kind of an interesting piece that a lot of people aren't talking about. I did hear Rucker McGroarty said he wasn't comfortable in the Jets jersey, which I thought was kind of a weird comment. And supposedly he posted on draft night that these are the coolest jerseys. I don't know. There's some weird drama I've seen and Instagram posts and whatnot, but I think this trade is going to work out for both teams and for the players as well. So,
yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think it's kind of one of those, again, trade for trade thing where maybe that certain piece, it's a good piece, but it fits better with this other team, and this other team thought the same thing and they just swap pawns. So I think it'll be a good trade. And some of these trades that, involve prospects, they're so hard to give grades because you don't really know how any of these people are going to pan out. But I mean, I really do think this is a pretty fair trade to go
definitely
swap these players like that. But yeah. And now on to my favorite trade of the week. I screamed in my room. You could ask Zach Boyson. And, Yaroslav Askarov obviously requested a trade from the Nashville Predators. I don't remember exactly why or if they even said anything about why. But the minute that I saw that, I was like, we are a rebuilding team with a lot of pieces that can use that kind of prospect. And sure as shit, big money Mike Greer picks up the damn phone and gets Yaroslav Askarov. And we gave up a David Enstrom, who's a solid prospect, I would say, and a first-round pick 2025. But that first-round pick is top 10 protected. And I want to say it is that pick right there is the Golden Knights. It's like whichever one. So if we're in the top 10, if the Sharks are in the top 10 and we get to keep that top 10 pick, but then we have to give them the Knights first-round pick. So it's a win. Like, it's such a fucking big win for the Sharks right there. And realistically, like, this is all Mike Greer's doing with getting that 2025 first round pick. That was for Hurdle. So we got rid of Hurdle and pretty much got the best goalie prospect under, I think, 23 right now or something like that. Elite Prospects ranked him as the number one goalie prospect. So I am absolutely stoked. I know, Galli, I can see you trying to say something, but Elite Prospects put him above Dustin Wolf. And I love you, Dustin. I know we just had him on, but I can't lie with facts and Instagram posts. So, I mean, I'm super excited. And I think it's, another step in the right direction, which Mike Greer's really been doing well. The thing that I'm, worried about is just if it all falls together, right? Like, rebuilds are so tough. You look at it on the surface and you're like, this looks awesome. But, if some of these players don't work out, then it's kind of a loss. But I'm hopeful and I'm excited for the future. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is a really good pickup for the Sharks. I know the Predators kind of had to move this guy after they signed Soros to a pretty big deal. So I think this is a good cornerstone for their goaltending depth for the Sharks for the future. And if he works out there, I mean, watch out, the Sharks could be dangerous in 3 to 4 years. maybe that's a little too long, maybe 2 to 3. But
No, I mean, yeah, that's fair.
I mean, Askarov was solid with the Predators, and I feel like he's finally kind of getting that starting position somewhat.
Yeah.
He might split the games because who's their other goalie right now?
We have Mackenzie Blackwood, so I think it'll be a half and half type deal.
Yeah,
Someone's
but
hot and just keep starting them.
yeah, he's gonna get a chance, and I feel like the Sharks might not finish last this year.
Maybe
We'll
not.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Maybe they'll finish
I mean,
second in the league or second to last in the league now.
yeah, but I mean, having that good goalie is kind of the start of any good rebuild, and
Yeah.
they have that with a plethora of forward and defense, forward prospects at least.
Yeah.
I think their next
defense
step
is-
is defense
Yeah.
prospects and getting some better ones there. But
Yeah.
I think this is a good trade for the Sharks, and Preds kind of had their hands tied, and I feel like they got a good value out of him though. So
They did. Yeah. David Edstrom's no joke there. He's a solid prospect, and it's like you said, I mean, the Predators were lucky enough to be in a situation that they had to pick between Yaroslav Askarov and UC Saros. And obviously you're going to go with UC Saros. He's already established and a good goaltender. But to have that problem is a good thing. And, you know, sometimes you can't get everything. You're not always going to get the greatest trade back for, you know, someone of that caliber, especially when you need to get them out of there. So overall, I've been really happy with Mike Grier, and we're going to talk about the Sharks and Flames a little bit later, just doing our own preview of our two favorite teams. So I'll save that for later. But the next one on here, Auston Matthews has been awarded the C for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I thought it was pretty cool how John Tavares was, you know, he like passed on the torch to Auston Matthews. Obviously John Tavares is a great player, but I feel like I'm mixed between this. I think it's awesome that Auston Matthews is getting this captaincy, but to me, like sometimes a captain doesn't mean that you're the best player on the team. Like I don't know how Auston Matthews is in the locker room and how he carries himself if he is the leader of that team. But you know, sometimes the captaincy doesn't just go to the best player. It's someone who's a leader. So I don't know. But what do you think? Is this like a new era for the Leafs? Are they going to actually get past the first round of the playoffs again?
I think this is a good move.
Yeah.
I think Tavares is probably going to get traded within the next 2 years. If not this season, I think next season. I just don't think they can. It's going to free up a lot of cap space for them. But yeah, we've seen this in the past with captains handing down the C to someone else. It's happened, but I think Matthews definitely deserves it. I think he's a leader on the ice, especially. Who knows what he's like off the ice. He's had the A for the past couple of years. So, and I think this might be a learning lesson for Brad Treliving. I think, when he was with the Flames, I sound like a broken record. When he was with the Flames, he could have given the C to Matthew Tkachuk. Matthew Tkachuk said he would have stayed if he got the C and a better deal. Well, Brad did give him the C, and he gave him a bridge deal instead and was insulted by that. So I think Brad learned a lesson, and he's like, well, we just signed Matthews on it. I think it was a 4-year deal. Let's give him the C so he stays. So all the cards don't fall like we're seeing in Calgary right now. So I think it's a good move, just from that perspective, and I think it's going to play out really well for the Leafs. So also Tavares, I don't know. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of Tavares, but I guess he's been good for the Leafs.
Yeah, I think, John Tavares is John Tavares.
The whole Islanders thing happened, and I just can't get that out of my mind.
That too, yeah. Yeah, how old is John Tavares now?
I want to say like 30 or 31.
Okay. I thought he was a little bit older than that. But regardless, I think Auston Matthews is no doubt your captain, someone who just scored 69 goals in the regular season in 2024.
Yeah.
It's very obvious that they'd give it to him. I'm still curious about Mitch Marner. I don't know what's going to happen with him, if he's going to remain. I think Auston Matthews is definitely and like you said, Brad Treliving needs to get his needs to learn from the past. Don't make the same mistakes. The definition of insane is doing the same things over and over again. So he's definitely got to change some things up. And I think it's well deserved by Auston Matthews. I shit on him a little bit too much, and I think that's only because he's on the Leafs. If he was on any other team, he'd probably be one of my favorite players. But I'm excited for him. I think it'll be fun to watch Captain Matthews take over.
Yeah, definitely. Next on the list, we got some interesting offer sheeting going on, which I feel like we don't see this enough. I think we might see it a little bit more, especially after this. But Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway got offer sheeted by the Blues. Kind of snagged from the Oilers because the Oilers didn't have the cap space to re-sign him.
Yeah.
Oilers didn't match the offers, and bam, they're St. Louis Blues just like that. So I think that's a solid pickup for the Blues. I don't know. What do you think about this? And do you think, GM should use this tool more?
Oh, yeah. I think they should definitely be using it more. I think the Blues are in a spot also that I really don't know what direction the Blues are headed, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
They really don't. I'm trying to think of like those poor guys. Like I don't know what the hell the Blues are going to look like in 2-3 years. Like they're just kind of in this weird, don't want to rebuild, trying to retool. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's a smart move to use this offer sheet stuff when you can. But I don't know about what do you think about the Blues? Do you really think they're going to be?
I think these are good pickups for them, but I don't know. It's I feel like they're kind of a bubble team in the playoff right now. They could make the playoffs. They could not. They're not going to be really bad, but I mean, they still have Binnington back there.
Yeah.
They still have a pretty strong defensive core. They got Kyrou, Robert Thomas. So I feel like they're going to be okay. But this is a good move by them. I think these players are going to get a lot more playing time and a little bit more of a chance to shine at the NHL level. So,
no, I agree.
Good move though.
Yeah, I agree.
We also saw some re-signings go on in the past few weeks. We saw Necas with the Carolina Hurricanes. He re-signed for a 2-year, $6.5 million deal. A lot of people thought he was going to be traded. Ended up not happening. And then Brock Faber re-signed with the Wild on $8 by $8.5 million deal, which he is a very good defenseman. He's going to be the kind of the cornerstone. That's my word today of their defensive core. Yeah. So I think that's going to be, both of those signings are good for their prospective teams. But I think this Faber one really knocks it out of the park. I could see him winning the Norris in the next within that contract length.
Yeah. No, I think getting him at 8 by 8.5 is not even a steal. I mean, he's well deserved of it. Obviously was, I want to say second in Calder voting, I'm assuming, behind Bedard. And, he had a great season. We talked about him a little bit, and I think it's also awesome too. He's a hometown, you've seen that photo of him with Kaprizov scoring that game winner, and he's on the glass right there.
Yeah.
When he was in, in college. So it's a cool little full circle moment that he's with the Wild, and I hope that he's going to be the face of that, one of the faces of that team for the next 8 years. And yeah, like you said, I think I can see a Norris in his future. He's a solid player. Necas re-signing. I mean, 2 years, 6.5 is a pretty good deal for the Canes. The Hurricanes, I was talking about this with someone the other week. The Hurricanes are they're in this weird situation too, where they have all their pieces, I feel like, that they should need. They remind me a lot of the Sharks, honestly, back in the day when the Sharks were good. Like, Carolina's always been a really solid team for the past, what it seems like 5-6 years. But nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
And, I think Necas is a great player to re-sign, and $6.5 million is a good deal for that. But I just don't know what they're missing, the Hurricanes, because it's something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I think
I feel like this is kind of a show me deal. I feel like they're trying to get Martin Necas to prove himself, and these next 2 years are going to be kind of deciding. I think if this year doesn't go well, he might get traded the next year before the deadline, because I think he's set to be a UFA that once this contract's expired.
Mm.
Speaking of the Canes, Evgeny Kuznetsov left, signs in the KHL with 4-year deal with SKA St. Petersburg.
Dude, yeah.
Which this is kind of been a crazy year for Kuznetsov.
Yeah.
I mean, he left off, I want to say it was $7.8 million on the table for this deal in the KHL. Which I've reportedly heard that he's going to be making more bonuses. I already saw a nasty shootout goal from him in the KHL. So
yeah,
I think he's going to be doing good in Russia. But damn, man, I think it's kind of a blow to the Canes because I feel like he had a really good postseason with them, and I feel like that he had a resurgence in the NHL, and we would have maybe seen that this upcoming season, that old Kuznetsov style. So
yeah,
what do you think about
no,
this?
totally. And I think it's funny because we were talking about it this when he got traded. We were like, is he back? Is Kuznetsov back? And I mean, he had a pretty good rest of the season, but now he's gone. He's in the KHL.
Yeah. So
and yeah, like you said, I'm sure he's going to make. Yeah, he's gone. He's out of the NHL. Which is just crazy to think about that. Kuznetsov is just he's out of there. But I think it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure we'll see clips of him on the internet. But yeah, I mean, he had a great career in the NHL.
Yeah. Wonder if he's going to come back at all.
I know. How old is he? Do you know?
I want to say he's in his mid 30s. I want to say like 34, 35. Shit, man. He was Ovechkin's right-hand man for a little while.
Yeah.
So
he was.
It is kind of sad. I agree. It's like, damn, dude, because that's on gone, bro.
He's just gone. Just like that. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. But in other news, this is also kind of European stuff, I guess you could classify it as. But the 2026 Olympic qualifying games has officially begun. People qualified so far as Italy. They are the host teams, which I am fascinated to see what Italian hockey players there are. And it doesn't count people from New York City, like actual Italians that play hockey. I'm just fascinated to see that.
We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if Italy snags some Americans that get their citizenship, because that happens in Olympics, that happens in soccer, happens in all over the place. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Who knows, dude? Maybe Italy goes on a Cinderella run here.
That would be crazy, and I'd honestly be pretty happy. That'd be a fun team to watch. But
I'd be stoked.
I'm curious who. I know. Is it Vinny Trocheck? He's got Italian heritage, but I don't think he'd. Maybe I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it'd be interesting if they snag some USA players or even Canadian players. But obviously, USA, Canada, Russia, Finland have qualified, as well as Germany, Sweden, Czechia, and Switzerland. I'm really excited to see, and I'm sure as everyone that's listening to this are excited to see NHL players back in the Olympics.
Oh yeah.
I feel like the last couple of years have just been just so off with COVID threw everything off, just with the Olympics in general. I felt like this year was the first year that I felt like Olympics were back to normal since before COVID, since 2018. And that was 6 years ago. And now this Summer Olympics, I thought did pretty well in terms of, just competition and overall coverage, I guess. Whereas the last couple ones have just been whack.
But Paris did a really good job this year.
Mm-hmm. And it's coming. The US is getting some, or US is getting 2028 summer. That'll be cool. I want to say,
2028 summer, and then Salt Lake City is getting 2034, which that's going to be freaking awesome. I can't wait for that.
I know we're going to be 34 years old. Jesus Christ. But it'll still be cool.
But so there's 3 spots remaining in this. The qualifying games have been they're like weird tiers of qualifying from the IIHF, from all these different continents. And there's 3 spots remaining, and there's 3 groups, and There's Group D, Group E, and Group F. Slovakia, Kazakhstan, Austria, and Hungary are in Group D. Latvia, France, Slovenia, Ukraine are in Group E, and then Denmark, Norway, Great Britain, and Japan are in Group F. I feel like there's some pretty clear favorites. I think the hardest group is definitely going to be Group D. Slovakia, I would say they have a pretty strong chance of making it, but I mean, Austria has some decent players as well as Kazakhstan. So,
Yeah.
But I mean, if I were to guess, I think Slovakia makes it. In Group D, I'd say Group E is kind of up in the air. I could see Slovenia maybe doing something. Kopitar is not playing for Slovenia, which kind of hurts them.
Yeah.
But I'd probably say Latvia makes it out of there. And then I'm going to go off a limb and say Norway makes it in Group F. But it's going to be interesting to see how that goes on. And it'd be sweet if they expanded this a little bit and made it maybe 2 more teams or 4 more teams and made it something following along like the World Cup is doing. So,
yeah. No, I think a bigger tournament would be cool. And just to give a chance to some of those smaller countries, like not smaller countries, but not as hockey dominant countries.
Yeah.
Give them more of a chance. I mean, I think same as you, I think Slovakia's got could go either way, but I mean, I think I like Latvia, but I think Slovenia is still going to do it out of Group E. And Group F, I mean, I feel like Norway always has. Looking at those 4 teams, I know Great Britain sure as shit ain't going to get a team in. Neither is Japan.
I mean,
but
Denmark
and Norway
does have decent players. I mean, Freddie Anderson is from Denmark, and Nikolai Ehlers is from Denmark. So I mean, they have some decent players on Denmark.
Yeah, no, I agree. So we'll see. I think Group F is a little hard to judge too. But I'm going to go with Norway just with my gut. Will my gut be right? Probably not, but who knows? I mean, obviously I'm excited. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think USA is going to kick ass. But Canada, again, is no joke. Russia is no joke. And really all those teams that have already qualified are going to be tough opponents. But just looking at USA's roster, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go with them. And I know our Canadian listeners might not like me for it, but I think this is the year, or this 2026 is the year that USA gets that gold medal.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Canada does have a stacked roster, though. It's their roster is scary on paper, like terrifying.
It is, but I'm less worried because of their goaltending. We have much stronger goaltending, and I know that's not everything, but I think our team, like USA team, is still pretty stacked. But I mean, I think it'll be a good hard fought thing because we still don't know exactly what the actual rosters are going to be. So who even knows? And that's still 2 seasons from now. There could be some breakout Canadian goalie that is just a rock star and we don't even know about it. But that is going to wrap up our coast to coast. There's a whole lot of hockey news these past couple months. Yeah, nothing super crazy, like it is in the regular season, but still some good moves in the offseason. Again, super excited about Yaroslav Askarov. And that's going to lead us into our final segment. We're going to do the good, the bad, the ugly with our 2 favorite teams, mine being the Sharks, Galli's being the Flames. Galli, why don't you start it off? Honestly, you could just go through all 3.
Definitely. I just will rattle off some things. And for the Calgary Flames, there's a decent amount of bad and ugly. But we'll start with the good. Dustin Wolf re-signed with the Flames, 2 years, $850K average. Solid deal. I think it's kind of a show me contract. Please, Dustin Wolf, save us from the misery the Flames fans are in. And he's keen to be the starter. Sharangovich also signed a 5-year, $5.75 contract. So getting those younger players signed, that's a really big thing and awesome thing.
Yeah. 5 years for $1 million a year. That's pretty solid.
Yeah. Or sorry, it's 5.75 mil average. So I think it's like 30 million a year.
Okay. Okay. I was like, holy crap, 1 year or 1
Yeah, that would be wild if Sharangovich did that. But, yeah, we got Sharky resigned. We got the Wolf and Sharky, 2 animals.
Wow.
But young players are also getting a chance this upcoming NHL season. Connor Zary, Matthew Coronado, Martin Pospisil, Jacob Pelletier, Kevin Ball, Dustin Wolf. So it's going to be really exciting for Flames fans to see some of these high draft picks actually get NHL playing time. I feel like they've been kind of sheltered, not this past year, but years before. So, we're kind of giving the reins to a bunch of kids besides Huberdeau and Kadri. I will say the defensive core looks very dangerous. We got Brustowicz, Perek, Poirier, Eaton Morin, who's a first-round pick a couple of years back, on top of Yeager and Rasmussen. So Flames are keeping that strong defensive core. There's also a new arena coming up. They broke ground this summer. The Flames aren't moving, which thank God they're not moving. But it's awesome that there's a new arena coming. The whole Saddledome is going to be gone in a little bit, which kind of makes me sad. Moving on to the bad. Where do I even start? I mean, there's a lot of stuff to talk about, but the biggest one that's the worst for, I think, Flames fans are the Oilers are in the midst of being a cup contender, and the Flames are kind of at the beginning of a rebuild. So it's pretty brutal to see the biggest rival making the Stanley Cup. And I know Flames fans are rooting for the Panthers big time, which was funny, and that would have been crushing if the Oilers won the Stanley Cup this past year. Obviously, I've already mentioned it. Huberdeau and Kadri, they have pretty abysmal contracts. Huberdeau's is not very good at all. I want to say he's getting paid $11 million, still has 6 years left. Very, very bad. Kadri's a 7x7. But who knows? Maybe they can have good years this year. I know a lot of Flames fans have been kind of delusional and like, this is the comeback season for Huberdeau, but we will see about that. Kadri's been playing good. I think Kadri's been playing good. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets shipped off. But sorry, Jonathan Huberdeau is not getting traded anywhere. I don't think anyone really wants him with that contract. And then the biggest bad is, I mean, we had Johnny Gaudreau. We had Matthew Tkachuk, even Elias Lindholm. I'm not really Elias Lindholm, but Tkachuk and Gaudreau. I mean, we don't really have any more standout star players. So that's kind of tough for us. It was kind of a tough decision for me to whose jersey do I get when I went up there? I got Connor Zary. Hopefully he becomes our next star this upcoming season. I have hope for him. But and then on to the ugly. I know a lot of people, I've seen a lot of social media posts and articles about this. The Flames are a completely different team on paper than 1 year ago. Everyone is gone. I mean, Chris Tanev got traded. Noah Hannafin got traded. Jacob Markstrom got traded. Elias Lindholm got traded. I mean, our whole core is gone. I wouldn't be surprised if some more of that core gets shipped off from Craig Conroy, and I think Craig Conroy is doing a good job so far. Some questionable trades here and there, but we will see. And then the question I think above all Flames fans are are we going to go into a full rebuild this season? Is there going to be more pieces moved like I was just talking about earlier? And, are they going to be trading all the older players? Are they going to trade, say, Anderson, who's a very good player who could get a very good return? We'll see. And then I already mentioned it. The Saddledome is going to be the Sad Dome this year, most likely. It's going to be torn down in a couple of years, and its next couple of years might be a little bit sad for its last years. So that's my good, bad, and ugly for the Calgary Flames, though.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you guys honestly do have a really bright future. Not as bright as ours, but I'm kidding. No, I think, there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of fun to watch this year with some of these younger players getting more of a role, like Dustin. And Zane Perek you don't think he's going to come over this year? He's still, what's his deal?
That's a big question too. I mean, there's talks that he could make opening night roster, but we will see. If he makes opening night roster, has a good training camp, I mean, we could have the next Quinn Hughes on our hands. I mean, this guy's a stud. I think he is one of the most talented players in the whole draft. I'm surprised he went that late.
Yeah.
And I think the Flames are kind of him and Brustewicz to be kind of that leading the charge from the younger defenseman. Brustewicz was in that trade with Canucks, which was an absolute steal. Like, oh my goodness. So think back on. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see Parekh in the NHL this year, but I think we shouldn't rush him. But I think he's good. I honestly think he's good enough to do that. So
yeah, we could see like a late second half because he's still on a CHL contract or how.
Yeah,
like sometimes they have to.
He's probably going to go back to the OHL. It's just like him and Brustewicz. It's like they've done basically everything and gotten all the accolades as defensemen. So, I mean, I don't know if it's going to it'd probably benefit them to get one more year. And who knows, maybe they go to the AHL for a year. That may help them kind of get their feet under them and at the pro level. So, either way, I'd love to see them either in the NHL or the AHL this year. I think Brustewicz is at least going to be in the AHL. Parekh could probably do another year in the juniors and it wouldn't be hurtful. So
yeah, I think what's honestly kind of interesting about the whole junior hockey system now is I feel like, we're seeing some of these players go to college and like Will Smith, for example, stay back another year, or even Ryan Leonard, who I thought was going to be joining the Capitals this season. I feel like, I mean, I know it's good hockey down there, but in the CHL, but I almost feel like if you're going to like it's a better route to go to college and develop there because some of these contracts you can't really go to the AHL yet. Like you have to be either playing in the NHL or you're going down to the CHL. So
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like, and it's all different. I mean, it's really hard to judge that, but I just feel like with NCAA hockey, you get a little bit older, little bigger players. And depending on what college you go to, pretty good competition. So I don't know. That came to my mind. But for the Sharks, are good, bad, and ugly. There's still a lot of bad and a whole lot of ugly. But unlike last year, there is now some good. I felt like last year there was really no good. It was all bad and ugly. I watched very, very few Sharks games. I would watch it if it was on at a good time. For me, I wouldn't, cancel plans because of a Sharks game. But that might change this year. I think obviously we have a lot of really two prominent young players that are going to be playing up in Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini that are going to be really fun to watch for me as a Sharks fan. I think it's going to be fun to see what they can do. I'm excited for Tyler Toffoli. I think he's going to be I think he's a perfect piece for, just this development and, seems like he likes San Jose. I've been seeing some stuff on Instagram, but, I'm just really excited to actually enjoy watching Sharks hockey and not be rooting for them to lose. Like, I don't expect them to win a lot of games, and that's okay for me. Like, I'm like, you know what? At least it'll be fun hockey to watch.
Sure.
The bad part, I mean, I think our defense is going to be really hard to watch this year. I just don't see many bright spots in there besides like Mario Ferraro, and I don't even think like Sam Dickinson isn't going to play. Henry Thrun, I want to say, is going to get some more playing time, which I think will be interesting to see how he plays. He's a Harvard grad, so he's a smart guy. But I think there's going to be some tough games to watch still, even though it's going to be fun. I am still thinking they're going to be bottom 5, maybe bottom 10. That's me being a hopeful Sharks fan, but we're definitely going to win more games than we did last year. And the other thing too is like, I don't think our rebuild is close to being done. It got a hell of a lot closer with the Askarov trade. I've always said the Sharks are going to be dominant in 5-6 years. And now I can honestly see them being not playoff competitive, but a bubble team in 2 to 3 years now. Whereas before I was like, no, it's still a long ways away. So yeah, the ugly, I think these losses are going to be brutal. I think there's going to be some 10-goal games still. It's not like it's not going to be on Mackenzie Blackwood or Askarov. I don't think it's not their fault. It's just, I think as a team, it's just going to be, brutal. And, especially against some of these good teams, we have a whole lot of young players, and like outside of Celebrini and Will Smith, like there's still William Eklund, who's, I wouldn't really call him a prospect anymore. He's got a season under his belt, but like I said, Henry Thrun, I'm trying to think of who else. I can't think of on the top of my head right now, but there's still a lot that needs to be done. So I'm not expecting this to be a turnaround season by any means, but I'm hoping, all I'm really hoping for is that if we lose, like 7-5 or something like that, where we get a lot of points. I don't want to be getting killed 10-0. I'd be okay with like 10-8 getting killed, but I know that's not very realistic. But I think it's a step in the right direction, one foot in front of the other, slowly but surely. And I'm proud of my career. I haven't been proud of a Sharks GM for a while. Doug Wilson was always someone that I thought was making the wrong decision. And whether I know what I'm talking about or not, clearly it didn't work out for us. And I'm excited. I really am. I'm excited this year. And it's the first time I've been excited to watch it's the first time I've been excited to see the first Sharks game of the season since probably 2019. Every season after that, I've just been like, God, here we go again. Another fucking ass kicking. So I'm excited. Moving forward, that pretty much wraps up my stuff for the Sharks. That was my rant.
Yeah. I think I hope that they don't get scored on that much. I mean, hopefully Askarov has a good year. I think Toffoli's going to be really good for them, though. I think he's probably going to have another 30-goal plus year. He's going back to a warmer climate. Past 5 or 6 years, he's been in cold climates such as New Jersey or Calgary or Montreal. I think Toffoli's some of his best years was with the LA Kings.
Yeah.
Which is a warm climate. So I think the Sharks, who knows? Maybe this is a resurgence. Maybe it's the warm weather that will make him play better. But I think that he's going to be good. He's probably going to be on their first line, and I'm sure he's going to be a good veteran presence for those younger players. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Sharks do this year, and the Flames. I mean, the real question is who's going to finish lower.
I think it's the Sharks still. I think you guys at least have you guys still have Jonathan Huberdeau. As bad as his contract may be, you still have him.
That's true.
Realistically,
That's
our best player is Tyler Toffoli. I could say Celebrini or Smith are going to be but you can't expect that out of a rookie to be the best player on their team. I mean, look how it went out for Bedard,
dude.
That guy's hurt. And I don't think he's going to come back this year. And honestly, Logan Couture's just always been, not that I don't like him, but it's just, he's never been enough. And I'm like, dude, come on. And, I feel bad for him in the sense that, he's kind of never had a good team since he's been a lot older. He benefited, he was a young, bright star when we were still good. And then the minute we fell off was his prime years being 26, 27. And since then, he's just been riddled with injuries. So it's tough for him for any of that. But, I think the Sharks are going to be lower than the Flames. What do you think, though?
Yeah, I'd say so. Unless the Flames start doing horrible and start selling everyone, which is not completely impossible. I think you're right on that, but
we shall see.
He's almost an hour podcast tonight. We had a decent amount to talk about.
Yeah, we did. And honestly, that was, I think part of it was just the not talking about hockey for the last 2 months, just doing interviews. So but everyone, thank you for listening. Moving forward into the future, the next couple months, obviously Galli's going to be doing his new job, so we're going to have to try to figure out some just timing for this next month, really September. Obviously preseason is going to start here soon. But we're going to start doing division previews for these episodes. Kind of like we just did with the Sharks and Flames, we're going to do for probably not as ranty as we just did, but start talking about each team in the division. Galli and I could go on and on about the Sharks and the Flames, but for other teams, we'll probably have less to say. So, but we're going to do a preview for those teams in those divisions. And then probably move into some predictions for awards, finishing, Stanley Cup, all that stuff, right before the season starts. And then boom, before you guys know, it's going to be October 7th, whenever the season starts. And we got hockey back. I mean,
oh, yeah,
realistically, it's right there. It's so close. And I don't know if you saw NHL 25 has the Hughes brothers on it, which I think is interesting. It's the first time any brothers have been on a cover for a sports game for EA. Yeah. I'm sure that game will be dog shit, just like the last one. But you know what? I think it'll be a cool cover. We'll see if their glorified roster update is any good. Maybe we'll do a little review of it if it comes out in time. But
definitely.
Galli, you got anything else before we kick it on out of here?
Nah, man. I'm excited for the future and go Bison. That's all I gotta say. And it's good to get back on here and talk. And yeah, I think these previews are gonna be really awesome. We've got quite a few episodes under our belt now. I think this is episode 42. So we'll be a little bit more maybe analytical or have some more opinions or who knows what.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for that. And excited to get out to Illinois. As much as I'm sad to leaving Idaho, it's gonna be a good time out in Illinois.
It's a fun job though. I mean, I think everyone listening to is going to be excited just to hear some of the stories that you'll have, because I'm sure you'll run into some crazy shit along the way.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So, but yeah, guys, thank you for listening. Be sure to follow us, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at Good Old Hockey Podcast. That's kind of not been dead, but we've been slow on it just because there really hasn't been much. Right under Galli at Good Old Hockey Podcast. Go follow us on there. And you'll start seeing more stuff from us during the season. And we will be back to you guys not next week, but the week after. And you'll know more about the future of the episodes in that episode. So peace out, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.